Good morning, everybody. I should say that I haven't quite been elevated to co-chair, but hopefully you never know. It is International Women's Day. I'm actually a member of the Joint Committee. The co-chair is the Chair of Partnership Committee, which was obviously until the board was reconstituted, was down double crossing, but I work with board members on the Joint Committee, obviously as Chief Executive. I am delighted obviously to be here today with Anthony from the Department of Justice. And as Debbie also mentioned, I'm also pleased to be representing the Policing Board as its Chief Executive on International Women's Day on this platform today. I'm also very chuffed to be standing on these staircases. I couldn't think of a better place, and I've quite visions of myself as Kate Winslet this morning, but I have to just temper that, I think, slightly. I'm going to cover in the first part of this session the achievements of PCSPs over the last period, and Anthony then is going to talk to you about our vision for the future. As a youth worker in my early career, I was lucky to have the opportunity to work with the community and experience the difference that can be made through engagement, support and intervention. We didn't have an outcome-based accountability model, but we did judge our success on the same things: keeping young people safe and keeping communities safe. And I'm delighted that some of the people I worked with in those early days are sitting in the room today, making contributions to PCSPs. I can tell you it was hard work, but it was probably the best boot camp for any Chief Executive of the Policing Board. Progress was sometimes slow, relationships took time to build, and it was difficult to see how change could be made. And most importantly, if there had been more money and more youth workers, we would have done much more. Looking back to then, I remember some wise words that were shared with me. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be easy, I'm going to be telling you that it was worth it. And it was. Debbie mentioned about her participation on the DPPs in the early days. I'm also an old-timer, and many of you will know that I was part of the team that established PCSPs in 2012. And just to give you an indication as to how long I've been around, I was also part of the team that established DPPs in 2003. But I'm going to give away my age if I go much further. If I could turn back the time to 2012, and speak to you each about the journey ahead for policing and community safety partnerships, I would tell you with the benefit of hindsight that it is not going to be easy, but it is going to be worth it. Partnership working is hard work. The PCSP journey certainly hasn't been plain sailing. The video clip that we just listened to touched on some of the challenges that were faced in the early days. Managing the transition from 26 district policing partnerships and 26 community safety partnerships to a new integrated approach, and all of the administrative challenges that presented. Layered on top of that, there was also joint governance and accountability for PCSPs through the establishment of the Joint Committee between the Policing Board and the Department of Justice, and I really am going to save that one for my memoirs. More change at a local government level with the local government reform. So just whenever we had got the whole thing established, we started another transition, reducing down the number of councils. In the 5 years, there have been 2 independent member appointments, each time appointing 118 independent members. Now that is no mean feat. There was also the legislation to establish PCSPs and also the legislation to designate statutory partners. But there was also the added complexity when we reduced down of working out how to maintain a much valued local connection between the police and the local communities, within the context of reduced resources, increasing demands and a larger geographical area. Linked to this, and perhaps the most challenging and frustrating issue, has been the continual uncertainties presented around budgets. This has impacted on PCSPs in terms of your ability to deliver long-term and sustained projects in the context of year-to-year funding. But the challenging financial situation for policing and community safety in particular has and will continue to make the work that you do with local police much more important. So standing here today, and as Nick mentioned earlier, Anthony and I have just completed a series of governance meetings with PCSPs. The work that you're doing, I'm really pleased to say that despite all the challenges you've had to overcome, has been worth it. So much has been achieved, The real potential and the value in delivery from the PCSP approach is beginning to be realised. Many of these good practice examples are featured in the conference programme today. Clearly evidence of the positive work being taken forward. There's no doubt about it, there remains much enthusiasm within the partnerships to deliver the best possible outcomes for the community. And that is very important, particularly given the shift to outcome-based approach for all public sector organisations. And we will hear quite a bit about that today. But we all know that we're not there yet, and there are further changes ahead. You have also told us about some improvements to the operations partnerships that you would like to see. These have included the need to further develop the community engagement work of the partnerships. Many of you acknowledged in the last couple of weeks in the conversations that we've been having with you that a great deal of work has gone into establishing partnerships, that a lot of work has gone into setting up projects, but at times this has been to the expense of the local engagement. Getting out into communities, listening to people's concerns and issues, particularly in relation to their policing and community safety issues, has been identified as a priority for you going forward. Some of you also spoke about the arrangements for monitoring police performance and how to make that engagement much more meaningful. And importantly, how you link into the work that we do in the Policing Board to hold the Chief Constable to account. Many of you shared examples where you have become much more effective in this way, and there was a sense that when the other designated partners were involved in this process and round the table, it was much more effective. This is an area that the Board is committed to working with you and helping you with. We are currently reviewing the arrangements for the delivery of local policing, and we are involving you in those conversations over the next couple of weeks. There was also a sense that at times you probably took on too much, and you needed to focus on the biggest issues of concern in your local community, rather than trying to be everything to everyone. And I suspect that community planning will probably help you in some of that as well. I can assure you that these are issues that the Board and the Department are working on, and we are committed to supporting you where we can. The strength of the PCSP remains to be local people with local councillors and wider statutory partners working together on policing and community safety issues. The Policing Board is a strong supporter and advocate for PCSPs. We also have a particular role in respect of the work of the policing committees, and we believe in the importance of local people shaping local policing. It is also about local people supporting engagement work between the police and the community. These aspects have and continue to be the key element of building community confidence in policing. In the time ahead, we want to bring new energy and focus to the work of the policing committee within the partnership and how it supports the Board's role. We have been working on the update for the policing plan. The measures and outcomes that are being developed for this plan take us a step closer to the delivery of the strategic outcomes that the Board agreed collectively with the Chief Constable for 2020. Outcomes that dovetail with the new draft programme for government and provide us with an opportunity to think and act differently in delivery. We know that we aren't going to get any more resources, so we need to make the most with what we have and achieve that collectively. The support of the PCSPs in facilitating collaboration with the PSNI, the community and the other statutory partners is critical in this context. As we all know too well, the majority of problems require much more than a policing intervention, and this can be achieved with PCSPs around the table. So there's a lot to do, and I haven't even touched on community planning. Neither the Board or the Department of Justice expects PCSPs to do all of this work on their own. We are here to support you where we can and however we can. So I very much look forward to the inputs today, to your questions on the panel, and to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Well, the good news is, if Amanda's Kate Winslet, that makes me Leonardo DiCaprio. The bad news is, Kate survived the Titanic and Leonardo didn't. So I'm hoping I fare a little bit better today. Amanda has outlined the achievements of PCSPs to date, which deserve full credit and recognition, given the amount of hard work being put into delivering those achievements. As joint chair of the committee, joint chair of the joint committee, the role of the committee itself, I probably should explain what it has and what it does. It's an oversight and governance role for the PCSPs and for the PCSPs as well. But in my role as Director of Safer Communities in the Department of Justice, I work alongside my team who have the responsibility for looking after the daily, day-to-day issues, along with the policing board colleagues, to assist the policing and community safety partnerships achieve their operational goals. I'm delighted that we're here today to know and to actually get to meet each other, because that's the other big thing that we sometimes lack, is the interaction. There isn't always a lot of cross-community working sometimes as well, but there isn't an awful lot of cross-partnership sharing of best practice. And I came across that recently in the governance meetings that we held, because the more we spoke to people, the more and more nuggets of really great achievements that were happening that nobody outside of those partnerships actually knew about, unless you managed to work your way through Facebook or some other social media. So that's one of the things that we've looked at. But as I say, I'm delighted to be here with you this morning, and I know that this is going to be a very informative and interesting day. So I promise I won't keep you too long. The aim of today is to focus on how our PCSPs can continue to deliver a difference, with a focus on three areas. Firstly, to acknowledge the contribution that PCSPs have actually made to date. Secondly, to consider the changes and challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. And finally, to examine the implementation of an outcome-based accountability approach, or an OBA approach, that will help the partnerships to evidence their effectiveness going forward. I welcome and thank Brendan Wigan from Criminal Justice Inspection, who will be joining Amanda and myself on the panel shortly, and our colleagues from Scotland who are here to share their OBA experiences with us as well. I'm not quite sure why we've left them sitting on the table on their own. I do apologise for that. As you can see, Mark and Tim in the middle, we will have an opportunity to hear from you both quite shortly. And hopefully at tea break, a few people will speak to you and not leave you sitting on your own. I'd also like to thank Celine and the National Children's Bureau who are here with us today. They have been facilitating a number of OBA workshops in the last year, right up and through till January this year, for PCSP managers and their teams. It's hard to believe that local government reform took place 2 years ago, and I know the PCSP support structures within councils are honestly really only bedding in now. That in itself has been a huge challenge, with many PCSPs having to get used to larger geographical areas, with the introduction of new funding formula based on, among other factors, deprivation indices. It hasn't been easy, it really hasn't, and I do commend you on the hard work that you've done and the can-do approach that you've actually taken. I'm sure you are becoming familiar with the increasing use of OBA terminology in recent months, given it is the same approach that is used for the programme of government and community planning. The main benefit of it will be that it will create a common language and terminology that will be used within all of the major strategies going forward, and there will be a clear line of sight between the longer-term strategic outcomes of PFG and community planning, as well as the policing plan and the community safety partnerships strategy, and the outcomes within the annual PCSP action plans. The introduction of OBA and its implementation will enable your partnership to demonstrate and evidence the impact and difference that your work is having, both at a local and a regional level. What you're doing in your local community should collectively contribute to achieving the Programme for Government Outcomes, namely Indicator 1, to reduce crimes and the harm and vulnerability caused by crimes. OBA is not only a change, but a huge opportunity for us all going forward. And it is important that we all learn from and draw upon previous OBA experience and look at how each partnership can best use this approach, both within its action plans and in your role as key delivery mechanisms for community safety actions within the community plans. The Joint Committee also have an important role to play in this. Going forward, we are placing an increasing focus on the difference being made by partnerships at a regional level. OBA will enable the Joint Committee to both better support and constructively challenge each partnership to ensure all of the good work being carried out is properly evidenced, with capacity training being provided when and where it is actually needed. Some of you will be aware of the governance meetings recently held between the Joint Committee and the PCSP chairs and vice chairs, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone we met for the open and, to be honest, sometimes frank conversations that we had. They were at times challenging, but they were always informative. And I have to say, as I said a few moments ago, I really learned a lot in terms of the great practice that's actually been delivered right across all of the partnerships. It is something we hope to build upon going forward, allowing more time for sharing of good practice between partnerships. Nick mentioned earlier that I would talk about finances. As you know, PCSPs are supported financially by the Department of Justice and the Northern Ireland Policing Board, and you will hopefully by now be aware that we have recently been able to provide assurance to partnerships regarding the 2017-18 indicative budgets. And that was by indicating that your 2017-18 budget will be at least 90% of this year's budget. Believe me, that wasn't an easy thing to do because we're in such a period of uncertainty, but we wanted you to have certainty going forward so that you could begin to develop your plans and take them forward and not be sitting waiting till June, July, August, September for actually confirmation to begin work. So I hope you really grasp that and work forward as we move through into the next year. Going forward, I recognise the need to have a longer term budget, as outlined in the Sagini report. I recognise that this would lift some of the pressures from the partnerships regarding planning and operational delivery. And whilst the long-term budget is not possible for the year that's about to commence, it is something that we're striving to achieve, and I do hope we will get that achieved within the very near future. We are still living in austere times, and moving forward we will need to be smarter about how we deliver, and we will have to cut our cloth to suit, making sure we deliver in the right areas, when and where it is most needed. And overall, we will need to ensure and demonstrate that we are delivering tangible differences. PCSPs are good examples of partnership working, bringing together political, independent, statutory, community and voluntary sectors. It is this partnership approach that enables you to help and support other organisations at the statutory, voluntary and community level to deliver their objectives and to meet their targets. Without the commitment, enthusiasm and hard work of all partners, PCSPs could not and would not function. I'm aware of, and I do not underestimate, the sheer volume of hard work still to be done as we move forward, especially in the area of collaborative working and to bed in the OBA approach, and to better prove the worth of PCSPs prior to the next reconstitution date in 2019. I expect it will be another challenge, but we are definitely in a better place to do that than we were 5 years ago. I would also like to briefly talk about the Stormont Agreement, a fresh start, and the number of challenges and obligations that this has placed and will continue to place on all of us, including the partnerships, who you will be aware are mentioned specifically in the report. The Department sees two main roles for partnerships with regard to Fresh Start. Firstly, through thematic approach, working alongside policing and statutory bodies such as the PSNI, the NCA and the HMRC to help build community confidence in the rule of law and embedding a culture of lawfulness, alongside many opportunities for awareness raising and communication. Secondly, through a place-based approach. Within Fresh Start, we're looking to identify a number of hotspots to begin with, where we can really begin to bed down and tackle the problems of paramilitarism and organised crime. We will then use those experiences that we learn within those hotspots to run forward to cover other areas until we cover the whole of Northern Ireland. Within those hotspots, there will be an opportunity to bid for additional funding to take forward specific pieces of work within these areas. This may seem daunting, however, I'm aware of the content of your action plans, and I'm assured that many of you have already begun thinking about and addressing these challenges. In closing, I would like to wish you success for the challenges, changes, and indeed the opportunities that lie ahead. And I look forward to answering your questions in the Q&A panel in a few moments' time. But really, can I just encourage you to enjoy the day, and I hope you really get something from this conference. Thank you.